There's a version of kindness that is actually self-abandonment, and most people don't know that they're doing it. I didn't. I thought being dependable, supportive, caring made me good. But underneath it all, I was scared. Scared of being rejected, scared of being seen as selfish. So I gave it all to others, hoping I'd be enough. But what I thought was kindness was actually fear, wearing a mask. And that is what people pleasing really is. And here's how I finally broke that pattern. Hi, I'm Oscar. I'm a recovering people pleaser. And this is my story of how I became a people pleaser. What is the actual cure, and where do I see society heading from now? Because it is all connected. All right. So I grew up in Stockholm, Sweden. I had a typical Swedish childhood. Sweden is a very safe country. It's very neutral, and it's very much a providing country for other countries out there, right? It hasn't been much war here, and so we are generally a country with peace. So why does that matter? Well, you see, Sweden unconsciously doesn't know it, but the whole freaking society is is a people pleaser society. It exists and it's so afraid of showing its true self. And that causes the rest of the people in that society to adapt to that unconscious way of behavior. So essentially, my parents are typical Swedish parents. They're concerned about their children going to school, getting a great education, are good citizens, are understanding citizens, are taking care of other people. You know, essentially, the values that we all think is so, let's say, noble and important. But also, when I grew up, I were not forced into labor per se, but you see, people that are brought into this society think that other people needs to become the same version of them. And they also have an idea that you need to be there for them. So, for instance, my parents, they shamed me anytime that I didn't do what they wanted. Now, because of that, I learned to be very, expecting of what it is that they need. So I started adapting myself to their preferences. For instance, if my mom wanted me to walk the dog and I was unwilling to do it, I showed my own will, then I was shamed and I was blamed and I was emotionally neglected. Now, that wasn't because my mom was harsh or whatever. She just has an idea that you're supposed to be there for other people, which is a completely normal idea. But the problem with that is that then I start existing from the idea that I need to do something in order to get love from my mother. It's the same thing in school. you have grades, right? Those grades tells you whether you are reaching some type of norm, a norm that society has come up with. Now, the problem with that is that if society tells you of who you're supposed to be, then you simply start existing from that frame of mind. You start taking away your own individuality to please other people. And it just keeps going in that way. And that is the whole problem. So anytime when you come into a relationship, you start existing from that frame of mind as well. So if you're with a partner and the partner doesn't like what you're doing, maybe it shames you, it blames you, it nags, whatever it does, right? It does not give you love until you go into the normal behavior of like trying to make it work, or you're pleasing, you're simply there to make it all function, right? That is a problem, because you start then existing from, oh, I want to be there for other people, I want to help other people, oh, this is the way I'm supposed to be, I'm here, to save the world, because there's so much nastiness out there, right? Because you start understanding there's a polarity there, that selfish acts, you being utterly selfish, caring about yourself, is the wrong way of being. So anyone out there who represents this, like, becomes they either get seen as, oh, they're too prideful, they're too narcissistic, they're just self-centered assholes, whatever, right? Now, the thing about that is that then you start pushing that side away, because that side was the side that your parents didn't like. So you start adapting into the way of being there for others. So anytime that a friend of yours have a problem, you come there and it's like, oh, I can fix it. I can be there for you, and so forth and so forth. For me, I learned how to emotionally help other people, and I did it for free, to the degree that I then started to become exhausted because I was running on fumes. I had no petrol because I was so exhausted out of having no love inside of myself, because I started to seeing it as, if I need love, if I'm a needy little boy, right, then I'm weak, because apparently my parents, the moment that I was needy, I needed love, I needed care, or I wanted to do my own thing, that was wrong for me to do that. So then my mind starts equalizing that, well, if I need things, I am weak. So I stopped thinking that I have needs, right? You, as a people pleaser, you become very attentive to other people's needs, but you don't see your own. That's the main problem. You focus on others, you become an extraordinary giver, you embrace being an altruist, being there for others, healing, caring, taking care of others, making sure that others are safe. You put that on an extraordinary pedestal. And then everything else that is not that is completely, utterly selfish acts of, oh, I'm simply gonna, I'm gonna grab myself, I'm gonna go for this, I'm gonna, I'm gonna manipulate my way to get others to do what I want, right? That you you see as being completely negative, completely wrong, and you never want to do it. Now, the problem around this is that the world is a duality, right? You cannot give without ever receiving. But if you're an unconscious giver, it's the same as you breathing out all the time, but you're never breathing in. You're never breathing in. And that exhausts you. For me, I mean, it took until I was maybe 30, 32 years old when I finally felt that, oh, God, I need to quit my job and I need to focus on myself. But that was just the, the tip of the iceberg. The actual shift, the true actual shift, I would say for me came yesterday. Yesterday, when I really uncovered this unconscious pattern of feeling that I have to be a giver, that this society, or the Western society, have somehow favored this pleasing mentality, where you become a cog in a wheel. You become someone who just exists in the system to nourish the system. And if you do not nourish the system, you're a system critic, right? So then you're sort of pushed away from society. You're a lawless person. So let's go into this. What is the actual cure? Well, you see, the actual cure is that you need to go back and look at every single instance in your life where you put yourself to the side and started accepting that you needed to be there for other people in order to have love. Now, for me particularly, that meant that I needed to go back to all the memories in my mind. And I started to talk to that inner child, because you see, that inner child right then and there at that moment has a need, and that need is locked in that time frame. You see, the only moment that ever exists is now. So it means that you still are that version. That version is still existing inside of yourself, and you may have to make peace with that. And the way you make peace with that little child is that you start first asking, what is it that you need in this situation? For me, I needed a teacher that told me, look, you're here in school, but you're an absolute individual God spark. You're a genius. You're not existing in this world to please other people. You're here to make your mark on the world in just being who you authentically are. You're not here to please me. You're not here to make me happy. And you're not here to use, to have the grades that I give you to be some type of mark for how good you are as a human being. You're here to find your own way of being. You see, I needed a teacher that started to tell me how incredibly worthy I am. And I needed to feel that. I needed to feel that in my words. And so do you. You need to hear it from yourself, from your little God spark inside of you, that you are not here for anyone else but you. And you see, that might sound very selfish, but the truth is this: that you need to, as a people pleaser, you need to develop that capacity within yourself that you look towards your own needs. You need to start visualizing and see what it is actually that you want. What is it actually that you feel good about? What is it that you want to hear? And what is it that you need? Right? You're here, and you are also here because you get your needs are essential. You need to feel safety. You need to feel meaning. You need to feel significance, and you need to feel love, and you need to feel variations in your life. That's a true need. And you have to understand that you are worthy of those things. But we cannot please others to provide for those needs. You see, we need to develop the side of us where we start breathing in, right? We start looking at ourselves, at our own house, at what is it that we truly need in this life. And we need to make peace with that little child inside of us that feels that it didn't get this from our parents. And so you need to have an argument in your mind or with your parents as they live today and saying, look, you assholes, I'm not here to please you guys. You didn't get me as a child to be some type of slave for you, to make everything great for you. I'm not here to make you happy. When you put a child into the world, you put an individualized God spark into this world that is not there to make you happy. You put a child into the world because you know that you're clear as a human being, and you know that you want that because it enriches your life to see that individual become something that is a mixture of the two of you. That's what it is. So you need to go deep into the hurts of your life, where you look at how society has shaped you, how your parents have shaped you, and you need to release your anger on the world, not physically in this world, but in your mind, because there's so much anger. You have no clue because you feel that you've been pushed down your entire life. Now it's time to reclaim that. And when you reclaim it, you will feel such vitality, such force coming inside of yourself. You will love that. Now, the third thing is that where and why and how, where do I see society going today? Like, where is it heading? Well, if you look upon the world has been unconsciously giving people. But there's also been a side where they have given in order to get. So there's just simply an unconsciousness. So let's say that Swedish is like an utter altruistic or a giving society. Let's say giving is better. Now, let's say now what's going on with the world and Donald Trump. It means that he is receiving, right? He's taking care of the borders. He's putting boundaries. He's making sure, well, this is what gets in and this is what gets out. So essentially, what he does is that he's starting to repair the cell borders of a world. You see, if we're unconsciously giving, it's almost like there's just information flowing in and flowing out, where we have no idea of the boundaries of our energetic field. It goes deep. So where is the world heading? Well, if you know anything about human design, the world is shifting. From now, you see, it's been in a 400-year period, and that ends 2027. It goes from the cross of planning into the cross of the sleeping phoenix. It goes from a tribal community to an individualized community. And in that tribal, you have 40, the gate 40. Now, the gate 40, it essentially stands for boundaries. You see, you need to learn how to put healthy boundaries. And this is something that the entire world is going around. You see, you will feel utterly lonely if you are afraid that you will be shamed for you're not living up to the standards of the world. So you separate yourself. And that is also what's going on in Sweden now. We're so lonely people because we do not even dare to show our real self, because that real self is not valued, right? It's not valued. That's a problem. That real self is not valued. Why? Well, simply because it doesn't match up to the standards of the society. But the society standard was never built upon creating individualized, ingenious, clever God spark. No, it's built to create a cog in the wheel that nourishes the current systematic way of being. But that will not work anymore. You see, so everything is breaking down. And you are finally seeing something as big as, United States now taking a complete U-turn on how the rest of the world have been starting to exist. And that is the beginning of how people start to reclaim their own sovereignty. You see, it was never, ever about the system. It's not. It's about you. And the way forward is to create a society that favors the individual genius and creativity in everybody. And that requires a complete fucking overhaul of everything. And that is causing a massive upset. And you see, the thing about this is that it's unstoppable, because it's an energy that is coming in from the universe to shape it all, shape it. The old ways are gone, which means that the souls that only exist from a purely narcissistic standpoint or a purely altruistic standpoint, if you're only a giver and you're only a receiver, those will break, because the world is finished with existing on one side of a duality. If you choose to not change, you will perish. That is the problem that is going on right now. You're confronted with how the world will utterly force you to become individual, authentic, sovereign, a creator, an individual God spark that is an interdependent part, that has the capacity to give and receive, to claim and to, I don't know what the opposite of claim is, actually. But I think you get my point. And I want you to understand that that little being inside of yourself that needs for you to speak to it in a way where it understands that it was never there to please anyone else, not the society, not the world. It is there to truly evolve into this authentic human being who can interact and communicate and who is not afraid of doing it with anyone in the world. Because you're simply a cell starting to experience it and expanding into a universe of possibilities. That's what this is all about. And it's absolutely wonderful. So with that said, I hope you got a lot of this out of it. And also, if you are noticing that you are a people pleaser and you need help with this, don't hesitate to contact me, because this is what I'm all about. I want you to get your creative spark back. But that also means that you need to start to breathe in and understand that you are worthy of love. And that is a journey. But if you're willing to take it and you're up for sacrificing parts of yourself that no longer serves yourself, and you're willing to invest in yourself, then don't hesitate to reach out to me. You will find me on realitydecoding.com or on my Facebook group, Live Your Purpose. Yeah, that's it, guys. Have a good one. Take care. Bye.